Bones are amazing things. They hold us up. They support us. They make us strong. But bones have other uses. In the past, bones were thrown by diviners, seeking out the mysteries of the future. Now the bones are cubes, made of plastic or resin. But they still reveal things to us. As they fall from our fingers and rattle across the table, the story becomes clear. Welcome to Bone Throwers Theater, an RPG actual play podcast.
Hello and welcome back to Bone Throwers Theater, the commentary edition of Stargate SG-1. This is Johnny.
Iosif. I played saggy Drupi. Just all not good Pecs.
This is Jeff.
This is Jeremy.
This is Aaron.
This is Jadon.
All right, so good one-shot session of Stargate SG-1, of a good franchise that we all love and enjoy, and good to have a guest player and guest GM on with us. So let's start off, before we dive into the meat of our session, get a little bit of background on our GM and player. You had mentioned before we started recording, that this is based off of, the system is based off of D&D, but you have not played a lot of D&D, but you've done a lot of gaming, so
very much.
What kind of background have you come? What have
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've played a lot of Shadowrun, 1 or 2 sessions of Star Wars, and gamed a couple of in-house systems as well.
Shadowrun Light.
Shadowrun Light is my other
and Iosif's
Pocket Volcano.
And Iosif's made up a Shadowrun medium.
Yeah.
I don't even remember it whatsoever, so I wouldn't even feel comfortable talking about it.
I wouldn't even say it was Shadowrun, but yeah.
But it was a good system.
It was very interesting.
It's very simple, that's why. Yeah. So even an idiot like me could run it.
Yeah, so I found this interesting because it would again doesn't lay heavily on combat. So
I thought it did. Well, okay. No. In comparison to how Bone Thrower sessions usually go, this was, I wouldn't say a lot more, but fairly more combat in a session than we would see.
So you only had 2 encounters for combat.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, even in Shadowrun, I mean, you could have countless encounters of combat, not full-on battles.
Yes.
But combat encounters throughout the entire session.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so usually I would say for our Bone Thrower sessions,
combat every 5-6 episodes.
Yeah, our campaigns, we may have a heavy combat thing in a session.
And occasionally that combat only lasts a couple rounds.
Or 1 round.
Depending on... Because there usually are like 1 or 2 bad guys that we can just...
Or even a turn.
Yeah.
Like, the first person with the highest initiative just rolls out of the clock shop and just kills the person on the roof. And then you're done.
And then buries the body.
Right.
With magic gear.
Okay, keep going.
So we've mentioned. I know Iosif and Jadon. We've played Shadowrun a bunch together. We've mentioned quite a bit on the show Shadowrun as a background, at least for my background. And one of the things that we pulled in from the concept of Shadowrun that Jadon, I don't think you said wasn't in the SG-1 rule set. But was the concept of a simple and complex action during a turn. So you could get 2 simple actions or 1 complex action for a turn. So that's something I really liked from Shadowrun, and I think it worked well here as well. Especially when you got to do a lot of moving.
It's different than most of the systems we play, which are D6 systems. There are two actions. Is written in the book. Double actions cost a penalty.
Right. Yeah. And you don't really define in in Open D6 any tier in your actions.
No, it's an action.
It's an action.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, obviously speaking, is not considered an action. You can do that whenever you want.
Yeah.
That's
But if you're going to actually do something,
considered a free action.
then it's going to cost a penalty for you to do a second action on top of that.
So
if you wanted to take 2 shots, you
Minus 1 die to each shot.
yeah, you would take a penalty to both actions to do that. So,
Yeah. I definitely liked that ability to do 2 actions, 2 simple actions.
yeah.
You know, we don't play D20 systems very often.
No.
So I like D20. There's something special to me about the dice. I just think it's cool. It gives a little bit more randomness.
It's just the range is so...
It's rough sometimes,
It's
isn't
so rough. Like, I think, got so used to missing a target number by like 1 or 2 points and then just spending a character point to get you there.
Yeah.
That it's like... And I thought that was really brutal, that it's like, oh, we've got no points to spend to boost these rolls at all. What we roll is what we roll.
Yeah.
We never even really used the tension die, did we?
No.
Was that just not in this session?
It was at the very beginning.
Yeah, so I think there was 1 roll of the tension die.
Yeah.
But yes, in this first episode, it's not really used a whole lot. It's typically would be made around your saving throws would all incorporate a tension die, but there's no, again, you're training for half of it and then your first mission, so there's not going to be
So
a lot of saving
what
throws.
would be an example for like when the tension die would be rolled? Because you mentioned something about character sheets saying that, but I didn't have anything on my character sheet that...
Well, it's probably not a class or a background that
Saying
you
what?
chose that you
What would be example? Because I thought maybe that scene where it was in the cages, that might have been a good opportunity for a tension roll.
Yeah.
Especially when Kundar was invisible trying to crawl out and escape.
Yeah.
That's some high suspense right there.
So
Great TV.
And I think the idea is that you roll that tension die at the beginning of the scene. It gives you an extra modifier to your target numbers. So if my target number is then 15 and a 6 is rolled on the tension die, now I have to hit 21 for all of my targets. But that was how I assumed it was supposed to work.
Yeah, it can modify damage as well, depending on. So it can make damage tier up for you for your shots as well as shots taken against you. It's really all about setting the scale of importance, right? Obviously, if it's a higher tension die, say a D12, you should all approach the mission as, hey, this is something that's going to be really important. There might be more drastic interaction that swings one way or another.
Okay. So, on that note, it seemed like the notes, the guide, the campaign, or the session was laid out pretty well. It came out. I know I saw Act 2, and I'm assuming there was an Act 3. Is that how it was laid out?
There were 2 acts. The first act of
The first planet.
your training, and then your interaction with the Jaffa. And then the next act would have been the mission to discover the destroyed base, and then your next mission,
So,
the following mission.
In looking at extra or beyond the first session, do they have anything as far as if a member discovered this in a previous session? So, for instance, if we had seen what was in that box, would that play in line at a later...
The small chest.
Yes, in the small chest.
Yes. So right now, none of you carry or know what was in that, other than, hey, that's the object, right? So you would have... It would build on, so instead of... It would be a knowledge check, to remember what you saw. As case now, I would just skip over that section.
And that's built into the notes. I like that a lot.
Yeah. And on that as well, are some of these characters that we encounter, the NPC characters, would they be reoccurring?
Oh.
Like the one lady who was with Wawa Pet would be come up later again in the adventure.
Wawa Pet, his 2 queens, Jata,
Nice.
are all built characters that have stats.
They got stats, baby.
That go along with the system. So, I mean, you could have
you can
failed
see it.
horribly, so you guys all succeeded your stealth check to leave, right? So
yeah.
if you did not succeed your stealth check to leave, Jata would have been chasing you, and you would have had a chase mechanic to get to the gate before them.
Okay.
Okay.
And then dial it out.
Okay, yeah, you did mention that about the chase mechanic and said if we get to use it.
Right.
So,
and I have not gotten to use it yet. Right.
So everybody's got their stealth check.
Everyone has passed their stealth check. It's a fairly low stealth check. It's a stealth check of 12, and it's our group stealth check. So if more than half of you get it, you all get it.
Oh, so my camouflage didn't really help out much there. They probably would have gotten it anyway.
Yeah, probably.
I like that idea, that mechanic for a group check. The more than a certain number. If half the group or more gets it, then everybody gets it. I like it. It's similar to in Good Strong Hands, where if you rolled 2 successes, you can give me one of those successes.
Yeah.
Is kind of what
you can help out. I like that in certain scenarios, but I think in the concept of stealth, it kind of, you're only as stealthy as your noisiest person. So it's like,
But so I would normally agree, but keep in mind you did have one of the queens offering or distraction.
Distraction,
right? So
yeah,
and she is pretty distracting,
especially if you can see it from the front.
But it was small chested.
What I like to
looking at the right attributes.
Small chest, big sack.
and that's actually what we're seeing from the front.
Oh, dang.
She's a man, baby.
That would be very distracting.
What I do like, and this was one of the pre-written stories from there, it felt very much like a SG1 episode. Felt very much like one.
Even to the shootout at the gate at the very end of the episode.
Yep, that's like it's like
episode 1.
It's like there's always a shootout at the gate to get back home.
Yeah. It's not at the end of the episode, it's at the very beginning of the episode.
Yes.
I would agree. One of the things that I didn't, I think most of their stuff, and you very well picked up on, they're very on the nose about what you need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
As you're describing stuff, and he was like, and remember this, I was like, oh, well, we're going to encounter that.
Yeah. Remember, you can dial the gate manually.
I was like, well, we're going to have to do that.
So I'm just saying, like, if, going beyond, like, the pre-written campaign, like, how difficult would you think it would be to write your own storylines for this?
So I think most of the stuff they were on the nose about was kind of educating you on how the Stargate universe works.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you could assume your character base has a base level of knowledge, you could get around that, right? But I will say the other session that I GM'd, they did not remember their GDOs.
Because you mentioned you splatted.
No, almost.
No,
so and there's a mechanic. If you guys would have approached the gate without using your GDO, then I would give you a knowledge check to see if you could remember. Hey, I think we're forgetting to do something.
And luckily,
and they did it twice.
I think everybody here at the table has enough Stargate knowledge that we know. It's like gate, GDO.
I was part of the team, and I completely words, line. I completely forgot about it.
I just loved the sounds on all the episodes where they're being chased through the gate, and then they close the arrows, and then you hear. It's awesome.
And that Irish don't let no one through.
I really enjoyed that they built in how to play the game into the first campaign.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They gave you the training session with the combat, and then they gave you the scenario with the Jaffa in line to train you how to use the determination points.
Yeah, it was like the tutorial section of a video game.
Yeah, it felt very much like that, in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way. A lot of games don't have that.
Yeah.
And there was another point. I know, Jadon, you were just looking at the script, but there was a point where the script said something, and then Iosif's character responded with something, and then you just went right on to the next part of the script. And I picture that just like a video game where you say something to the and they just repeat what they said before in the video game. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, that was entertaining. That was entertaining.
Sorry, I filter a lot of what he says out. So.
You've known him for a long time, have you?
So, we talked about the trader aspect. Is that built into the campaign? Okay. No, that was just a decision.
Yeah.
Pre-game decision.
Yeah. Again, I wanted to make it interesting for him since he had already played. He got to do something different.
I think as something that would, if you were going to do that again, something that would be beneficial is giving the ability to find that out as we go.
Dropping little clues.
Hints.
So there would have been more hints had he not have horrible history checks.
Okay.
So he would have been able to explain. I know. Like,
we talked
almost explain too much about who Wawapet was.
Okay.
Right? He served another system lord mentioned.
Tilgath.
Tilgath, right? And if he had succeeded, he would have explained his connection to Wawapet through Tilgath and all that. And you'd be like, why do you know so much? Right? Would have been an option.
But I legitimately biffed the roll.
So I was like, I guess we're just going to keep rolling like you're a part of the team.
Yeah, because that confused me as a player, even though the character, Akel, didn't see that until the very end of that firefight. That confused me as a player. It's like, okay, yeah, he just came out, and legitimately, I thought that he was just trying to create a distraction.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did
start,
too.
And I was like, all right, now that
so maybe that's on me. Maybe I should have made it more clear that I was working with the guards or something like that. Or me running towards maybe I should have made a different decision, like to stand with the guards and fire on you instead of going for the DHC and try to sabotage it. Because we didn't discuss that part. I made that decision on the fly, and then as we progressed and you were taking those guards out quickly, I flipped and made a decision then. It was like, well, I need to start sabotaging stuff because
as Jeremy was taking out the guards quickly.
He succeeded on those history rolls, he would have then told you that he used to work for a system lord underneath of Anubis. And hopefully that would have sparked enough interest. It was like, wait, but we're going in a mission against Anubis.
Right.
So that you would have then drawn that connection. So when his action to betray would have been like, well, these guys might know him.
Right. Well, and even when you said, you were running towards the DHD and you go, I wonder if they realize I just defected. Like you made a comment about that.
I thought you were joking.
Yeah, same.
Fair
even
enough.
then, I'm
I did too. I was
is he joking or not?
And then I took it more seriously when Jadon, you had all the Jaffa just ignore his character and just fire on everybody else. It's like, wait, he's the closest one. Why is it? And I was like, how is this going on?
Yeah.
Maybe we should have had like something that I could have shown to the other guards to like prove that I was who I was instead of like.
Well,
I don't know how cool.
I think that it would have worked, except my character was already finger on the trigger, ready to do action. So as soon as you stepped out and said that, thinking that as a distraction, and then more Jaffa started showing up.
Shouting, he started shooting.
It was like, well, we're doing this now. It's like we're not waiting for more to show up.
No, and
so
I guess if it was too obvious, you would have just shot me in the back.
Yeah.
Yes.
And ended me quickly.
My character probably still would have shot for the Jaffa first because they had a staff weapon.
True. Okay.
My character wanted that staff.
Well, that was another thing. I realized
I might have started shooting at you first.
Exactly. You guys might have started shooting at me sooner than before. But one of the things I realized is that being a prisoner, I lost my staff weapon. All I had was a 9mm. I was like, I'm not going to be much help to these guards. I was like, what can I do? I ran for the DHD.
Yeah.
No, it was good.
It was a good section of it.
It was just confusing.
You mentioned right before we started recording that your character was supposed to die. He was supposed to die. That was the idea that it would be found as a traitor and everybody would kill him.
Right.
And we were running long on that episode, so it didn't play out the way I had the thought in my head of doing the whole thing right from storyline of SG1, where you come up and you reach into the symbiote pouch and you crush the gold inside of him to kill him. Yeah.
I did think of that. That was, and he came back intact with a symbiote.
See, I wanted him as a prisoner.
Yeah. To be honest, I was really, really hoping for the chase mechanic. That's what we plotted out more, was that he would take actions to fall back and lose ground in the chase, and then become one of the attackers. And you guys would not have had a perception of that. But we got them stealth
checks, so I guess I kind of worked against that, didn't I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I guess thinking about it, if we planned better, you shouldn't have done camouflage, but you could have purposely done something to alert them to initiate the chase mechanic.
Yeah, it was good.
So again, I was late. I wanted to talk to Jadon more about this beforehand. When I called, I was going to call to discuss more, but then he was like, "Oh, well, we're actually playing," and I was like, "Oh, WTF, Mike? I'm late." So it would have been nice if we got to discuss it a little more before this. But I
know. I thought it was a good. It was a good part. Good.
Yeah.
Twist to put in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
A couple things. One, character creation is, I mean, Jadon, you talked about this with me beforehand, said it's a daunting task, and I can see this is definitely built to be like a in-depth, long campaign where you definitely build the character. It's not like some of the other one-shots we played where you can create a character very quickly.
This character build is a lot like D&D.
Yeah, it's a lot like D&D.
I mean, the system was built around the 5th edition of D&D.
Yeah.
I could tell that a lot.
But, it's at the same time, what was daunting, it's also, once you do it once or twice, it wouldn't be hard at all.
Yeah, I told Jeremy I was able to do it in less than an hour once I knew what I was doing. But it took us, 4 hours to figure it out?
Yeah, when we originally started.
When we had no guidance.
Right? Yeah, I mean, we did it, all 4 of us, in an hour and a half.
Yeah. And we build characters
all
regularly.
The time,
so. Yeah. So. Like every couple months we're building a different character. So another thing is, and we talked about this a little bit while building characters, or when we first got into play. It was actually when we first got into play. One thing I think would be beneficial to be added to the system is a modifier for like knowledge or checks pertaining to a certain race or something, like how the Jaffa couldn't recognize the Jaffa boot prints.
Yeah.
I feel like there's holes like that in any game.
There are.
System.
And especially when a system is brand new, they haven't worked out the kinks.
They haven't printed out the book yet. For your fans or whatever, we're working with printed out from a PDF pages here. They like the system is very new.
Yeah, and I think we've said beforehand we're playing this. If this will air several months in the future, but we're playing this on the weekend they're actually releasing it, and they're actually doing a
Twitch
stream at a convention of somebody actually
playing.
I'm
down here with you clowns, man.
Whatever, you enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, totally. Great time.
Yeah. So that's something I think would in any system. Yeah, it's like the one person that would know this just because of a bad roll doesn't know it, but the one person that would have no clue just because they had a good roll.
Maybe not a modifier, maybe a saving roll on like obvious. Like maybe we should, like when I was doing that roll, maybe I should have done a saving roll for intelligence or something like that for my character, because a Jaffa not noticing Jaffa tracks is like I can't even think of an analogy. It's just stupid. So maybe like later you can add like you can
it's like not being able to recognize a recorded version of your own voice, which I think we had.
So now you guys all succeeded on the checks to recognize Wildpet's voice and through the tent. They didn't the first time and I was like, how are these? They've been in the cage for an hour and a half. You really forgot what Wildpet sounded like?
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess I keep going.
But you're also playing on a pre-written script. I think when you get to make your own mission,
it can be
you'll be able to be like, well, let's say they fail at this point. I'll do this instead.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit more flexibility.
I still think you did great.
I feel
definitely. Like I was trying to throw wrenches in everywhere I could.
Really?
Because I was having fun. No, for him.
Yeah, for him.
Yeah, we understand.
We
were being nice to him.
I don't know why you didn't shoot your net at him almost instantly when you caught up.
They were talking about that because I was like, please don't do that.
So I didn't shoot my net at him because again, we didn't know he was traitor. even not until he started dismantling the pedestal did it dawn on me that it was traitor. And then because we discussed, we weren't really sure what the net would do. I just, rather than try to throw that wrench into the end of the episode of, well, how are we going to handle this mechanic? Is it going to knock him to the ground and he has to struggle out of it?
Would that go against my armor class for some reason? Like, because my armor class was so high, it made it very difficult for these guys to shoot me. At one point, I was sitting there thinking, maybe these guys aren't going to be able to kill me by the end of this episode. And then you finally got the two crits on me.
Let's talk about that. How all the rolls that I was doing out of combat were horrible. And then during combat, even the training session and then the end, everything was above 20.
Yeah.
So what's your modifier for your weapons, though? You have a +5 to the Matok?
Yeah, +5. +5. But still, I was rolling like...
17,
you're like,
19,
you're like,
20.
roll 2 and take the lowest. 19, 20. Okay, I guess we got a 19. Oh, +5, that's 24. And they were all like... Nothing was below a 17.
Yeah.
When I was rolling in combat.
And
like everything else, it was like 1, 4, 7. Yeah.
It was almost like you were incompetent.
And then even the damage, it was like, all right, roll 1d8. What do you get? Okay, 8. +3, 11. All right, fine.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because playing in Shadowrun, you take tons of hits in that game. You take a tons of hits and you don't go down. In this, I felt invincible until he hit me, and then he took me out in one round. And it was just like, maybe that's why the armor classes seems like so, OP, because like when you finally take damage, you take a lot of damage from these staff weapons and stuff.
Oh yeah, so I only took one thing of damage, and that knocked my hit points in half. I was like, oh my god, I can't survive another hit.
And I was surprised because I took damage 3 separate times, and I'm pretty sure I had the lowest hit points sitting at the table with my character. And I ended with like 4.
So keep in mind, think of it like SG1, right? They didn't. You don't want these characters to die,
right?
Right. So most of your damage is not going to be lethal,
right?
But then watch SG1, a staff gun blast practically almost kills you, right?
Yeah. So unless you're a main character,
or sometimes even if you are.
Yeah, then there's the Africa practice.
But I think your net would have been more like not a target at him, but a area cast effect, right? So it's really just boom, throw, and then he would have had to have an acrobatics. No, not acrobatics, just athletics check to get out.
So what are those saving throws for? We've never used them.
Yeah.
The death saves?
No. We used death saves. We didn't use
saves. So my understanding of the saving throws are for actions of like critical nature, and you guys didn't really come to any of those because there was always a lot of you alive when there was other people shooting, right? So so in the case of combat, you can use a saving throw to increase a number if it's determined that, hey, look, it's 1v1, and if you die, there's no way this episode continues, right? So then that's when the saving throw.
So why can't I use my any saving throws?
Because you don't matter. You don't count.
It mattered to me, man. I was down to the last me. There was only me.
So I will say, as well, very different from how we usually treat failures when we roll, because I don't know, when we were in that the first planet and I rolled to dial the gate and I rolled a 1, and I was like, well, I just broke the DHD.
Oh no, I figured it was going to open up to a planet and we were going to have visitors start coming through that gate right then.
Well, it can only be one way.
It's only one way.
That's right.
It's only one way. So,
but somehow with a 1, he managed to flip the gate.
So that is a mechanic written in the story, in the book. Any failure below a 5 it has a chance to open on a random world. So I did a check to see if it did, and it did open on a random world.
Okay.
Right?
But the other option that I could see Jordan running with is, as we're trying to radio through, we don't get any contact back, but then once the gate closes, it reopens
from that planet, and the people start pouring through.
Except that Yeah, I get you, but that doesn't work.
That assumes that there was like
They
an
dialed
army
Star
at the
69.
ready.
Yeah, there's no
At that
Star
planet.
69. There's no a caller ID on the DHD.
Actually,
So
You can know where it's coming from, can't you?
Well, when the gate's opening up,
No, they had
the chevron's
episodes
activated on your
trying to
side.
find planets that they came
Yeah,
from.
I thought the chevrons do activate on your side.
The chevron's activated on your side when in the incoming wormhole.
so they
you might-
light
you might
up,
be
but
right.
I don't think
they don't turn and
it
activate.
doesn't spin
Oh yeah.
to tell you which chevron is being activated.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it just
Fair
lights
enough,
up.
fair
Boop,
enough.
boop,
Yeah.
boop, boop, boop.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
but
matter.
all that to say that we're so used to when we fail things breaking that I was like, well, okay, there's no more DHD.
Yeah, very, very large consequences. We were going to be up there, activating the chevrons and manually turning the.
So that was a mechanic.
Yeah.
Decide for it, and again, the guy how you chose to fix the gate is not how they wrote to fix
They
it.
wanted us to wire it.
They wanted it, yes.
I
And the
figured-
fact that you were able to identify the half broken crystals that had to do with the modulation, but not fix the power crystal, but then just hook up power directly to the DHD. I was like, that's typically
works.
not how it's done, but
But
it
It makes
it makes
perfect
sense.
sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that's what I always say every time they do it in this show. I'm like,
But then they couldn't show Teal'c like
yeah.
the gate.
Like, that only makes sense when there's no DHD.
That mechanic would have been like you have to get I forget what check it is, but you have to get successes for each chevron.
Oh god.
So that
So
would,
I'm glad I fixed it.
yeah.
That wouldn't have happened. We'd still be on the planet right now.
I wouldn't be a traitor yet.
I was also really hoping we were going to be able to open the gate on somebody. Like, there was so much of me that kept opening. It didn't happen.
It's so fun watching them dissolve like that.
So,
Like when you had the Jaffa running to the corners of the gate, I was like, all right, try and run across, and let's dial it real quick.
Yep. Would
That
have
was
been
my
awesome.
thought too.
Yeah, I
Just
really
like
like the
those
system.
smoking boots.
Yeah, this was fun. This was fun. Especially since I'm a huge Stargate fan.
Yeah.
Wow. No, you never talk about it at all. Not in any of our episodes of commentary have you talked about Stargate.
It's like
So-
we're either talking about Star Wars or Stargate. It's one of those two.
Every single time.
I talked to you guys a little bit about the online mechanic. You can go register your characters. I can go register and claim that I ran a session with you guys. Part of the fact of registering your characters is you basically upload your stats and other people can choose to play that character if they wanted to, right?
That's cool.
So you have character created, pre-made characters you can
Right.
play.
But they will know the outcome that your character had, right? They lived, they discovered this, they did that, right? So they can carry that character on to episode 2 if they really liked it.
Nice.
But I also understand that there's a mechanic where they actually have gotten Dr. McKay from Atlantis,
David Hewlett.
to David
Yeah.
Hewlett, to roleplay a session, and he has picked characters, and they have brought in people that were in the base of designing and playing to play with him.
That's cool.
That would be cool.
All over Skype,
Yeah.
or whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All right, I'm putting up Drupi Pecs.
I feel like that one's gonna get DQ just because of the name.
Really?
Is it PECS or PECKS?
Okay.
No. When you upload it, spell it with a K. It'll fly.
I don't see how Pecs are something that would be removed.
No,
It's-
it's
The
It's a
combination.
the
Drupi and Pecs.
no. Sure, your character will be there, but if they pull you up in the generation process and be like, "Yeah, we're gonna play with this guy," they're gonna be like, "No, we're gonna pick another one."
Or
You never know.
Drupi is going to live on forever.
Yep.
All right. So this has been an interesting session. First for Bone Throwers Theater. First time we've not had Jordan with us on a session.
And even without Jordan, there's all J's.
Iosif's not.
Yeah, he's a Y.
I just assumed it was supposed to be
I-L.
It's Iosif.
I just assumed it was a J.
It's I. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Iosif.
I stand corrected.
So take that, you with your J elitism. I cannot mouth today.
You think I could trying to read the notes?
But yeah, those sessions are very wordy.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's trying to describe a whole television scene.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of epilogue they got.
Apparently, the Fighting Irish protect the gate. Notre Dame.
Yes. Thank you very much, both Iosif and Jadon.
Yes.
That was great.
You guys made it fun. And Jordan will definitely be listening to these episodes, so he'll get to hear all the clips we make about how GMing is just the same.
Good times.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to this special one-shot of Bone Throwers Theater.
Thank you for listening to Bone Throwers Theater. We are releasing this podcast under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. That means you can share the podcast, but please do not modify it or try to gain financially from it. If you would like to visit our website, you can do so at bonethrowerstheater.com. If you would like to send us an email, you can do so at bonethrowerstheater@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is bonethrowerstheater. You can also look us up on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until next time, may the bones fall ever in your favor. This has been a Nerd Circle podcast production.